What's up, everyone? It is draft day, and welcome to the top 32 mock draft for the 2024 NHL Draft. Here it is, starting off with number one, Macklin Celebrini. Just an incredible 200-foot player for Boston University. I mean, not much has to be said here. He's the clear number one pick, and he's just everything you want in a player. Just so good everywhere, and is going to be a dynamic player for the San Jose Sharks. With the second overall pick, I think the Chicago Blackhawks will go with Artem Levshinov, and I think he's that really good top pair defenseman to pair along with Korchinski, and they'll be a fantastic pair at the next level. Wouldn't have been my pick. I would have went Demidov, but I can definitely see there's a lot to love with Levshinov, with the skating, the physical traits, and the defensive play. Just a great all-around defenseman. With the third overall pick, this one is the hardest one of the draft, and I think it's between Beckett Seneca, Zeev Buyam, and Anton Salayev. Right now, I have Anton Salayev, but I don't know. One of those three players is gonna go third for sure. But Salayev just brings so much to the game. I mean, his incredible skating for his size. I mean, it's incredible what he was able to do in the KHL with the production and the defensive play, just locking down, playing versus men and locking them down, and just playing unreal two way game. I mean, expanded his offensive potential a bit throughout the season, and is definitely going to be a safer pick. And the contract situation in the KHL is he's gonna play his contract out to 2026, so it is going to take him a little longer to come over. But I think the Ducks are willing to wait, and they're really looking forward to drafting a really good stud prospect in Anton Salayev. With the fourth overall pick, the Columbus Blue Jackets will select Caden Lindstrom, and I could definitely see them go for a Demidov here. But I just think that Lindstrom is the perfect second center to pair along with Fantilli. They're going to be two stud power forwards at the next level. I mean, with the hands, the skating, the shot, the offensive awareness, it's incredible with the size. With the fifth overall pick, they're going to go for the slam dunk in Ivan Demidov. Definitely a really great winger to pair alongside Nick Suzuki, and definitely going to be just a stud playmaker and a really good puck handler for them. And he's willing to come over next season, and he can really help them out right away, which is a slam dunk pick. With the sixth overall pick, the Utah Hockey Club will go with Carter Yakimchuk, actually. And I'm a fan of this pick a lot. I really like what Yakimchuk brings to the game with his physical play and the really nice deceptive shot he has, along with those great hands that he has. Just an incredible, powerful, just right-handed defenseman who has a really good big frame. And Arizona tends to go with bigger players, and I just can 100% seeing them go with Yakimchuk here. It makes so much sense. With the seventh overall pick, I have the Senators selecting Zane Parekh. If Yakimchuk was still available, I'd go Yakimchuk, but Parekh makes so much sense. I mean, he's that perfect right-handed defenseman that they need. They have a lot of stud guys on the left side, Sanderson, Chabot, and I think Parech's the perfect deep pair to go along with them, as just going to be an incredible quarterback on the power play. He's got a terrific shot, some great hands, a great playmaking ability, and just a dynamic offensive defenseman who's going to be an 80, 90 point guy in the future for sure. With the eighth overall pick, I have the Seattle Kraken going with Zeev Buyam, and this is a wonderful pick for them as well. I mean, just brings so much to the game with his skating, his playmaking, his passing, his shot's great too. I mean, his defensive play, but his compete is so well, and it's just insane how well-rounded he is as a defenseman. With the ninth overall pick, I have them going TJ Ginla. It makes so much sense with Jarome Iginla going to the Flames, but TJ is just he's an interesting player. He's a really nice goal scorer around the net. Definitely has some great hands to him. Definitely has a little bit of pop to him in his stride, but he sees the ice very well, and he does have some traits that are definitely going to translate. And he's definitely going to take shorter amount of time to make it over to the NHL, but he's just almost NHL ready. I mean, he's just so many traits that are just so well developed, and he's just definitely a great physical goal scoring forward. He's going to be a stud for Calgary. With the 10th overall pick, my personal favorite player of the draft, Beckett Seneca. I mean, I love this guy every time I watch him. I mean, in the playoffs, an absolute stud. The Devils are getting a slam dunk, in my opinion, for this pick. and he's very well-rounded. I mean, those hands are ridiculous. The shot's insane. Sees the ice so well. Reminds me of a Jack Eichel. Just everywhere he's good. And with that incredible growth spurt that he had, I mean, grew 3 or 4 inches this past year. And when he grows into his body and he bulks up, he's going to be an incredible, well-rounded forward at the next level. And with the 11th overall pick, I have the San Jose Sharks going with Cole Yzerman. And this one just makes so much sense as well. I mean, pairing him with Macklin Celebrini, they're best friends out through high school, and they're going to be probably going to Boston University together next year. And it just makes so much sense pairing them together with the elite playmaker, with the elite goal scorer, and they were studs at Shattuck St. Mary's, and hopefully they play with each other at Boston University and eventually make it to the NHL in San Jose, and they're going to be a stud duo. And with the 12th pick, I have the Philadelphia Flyers selecting Sam Dickinson. I have been falling quite a bit because 1D has to fall outside the top 10, and I just see Dickinson falling just because of the fact that his play at the Memorial Cup was kind of lackluster. He was still good, but I just expected a little bit more out of him. With the decision making was a little bit off there. I mean, you can kind of see the physical traits aren't really there, but the defensive play is great, the skating's great, the shot's really good. And there's a lot to love with Sam Dickinson by picking him. He's a really safe pick. With the 13th overall pick, I have them going with another steal in Berkeley Captain. Definitely going to be a good second, maybe first line center at the next level. Going to be just all around stud with the puck. Sees the ice so well, has that great IQ, great stick handling ability, along with a pretty good skating ability. But the strength, he's got to bulk up a little bit. Maybe, I don't know how much he'll be actual center at the next level. Maybe they switch him to wing, or maybe he develops those physical traits. But I think he'll definitely be a stud at the next level with his playmaking and his vision. With the 14th pick, I have the Buffalo Sabres selecting Consta Helenius. And this is a very good safe pick, and it makes sense why they traded back for him, because I do think they have wanted Helenius in the first place, and I just think that he's going to drop because the other players have a little bit better ceiling to them. But I just think he's a well-rounded forward, and it makes so much sense with Buffalo trading back, and he's definitely the player that they need. With the 15th overall pick, I have the Detroit Red Wings selecting Michael Brandsegg-Newgard, and a very great all-around player as well. I mean, unreal defensively, got a great motor, great compete, a pretty good skating ability. I mean, just a strong forechecker, great IQ, but he's got that powerful shot. I mean, one of the best shots in the draft for sure, and definitely just going to be a stud top 6 forward at the next level. Just an all-around player who just makes your team great. With the 16th pick, I have the St. Louis Blues selecting, let me find him, Stian Solberg. And I really think that this guy checks a lot of the boxes for St. Louis. I mean, just has that great physical play. I mean, the great defensive play. The pretty good skating. I mean, he has to work well with that decision making and the under pressure passes, but right now he can be a good, solid, physical defenseman who's just going to be a good shutdown D at the next level. Going to be an overall just amazing fit for them for what they need. I can definitely see them going with Adam Jiricek, but I think he's going to drop due to the knee injury. But Solberg just brings a lot to the game that they've been lacking for the past couple of years. With the 17th overall pick, I have the Washington Capitals selecting Michael Hage out of the USHL. And this one just makes a lot of sense. I mean, just a great center and got great skating ability. The shot's insane. The hands are ridiculous. And they really do need a number 1 center. And I really think this guy could be it, playing alongside Ryan Leonard, Ivan Miroshnichenko. I mean, Ovechkin's getting up there. Strome is still really good, but I think this guy just brings so much as a complete center who has an amazing skill set, who's definitely going to help them out right away. With the 18th pick, the Chicago Blackhawks are going to select Liam Greentree for the Windsor Spitfires. And this is a very interesting pick. I don't really see this pick a lot mocked, but this just makes a lot of sense considering they're probably not going to go Demidov. But he's just a really good goal scorer on the wing that's definitely going to be great playing alongside Bedard. And I could definitely see this guy being like a 30, 40 goal scorer, like a Carter Verhaeghe type of goal scorer. And that's the perfect fit, in my opinion, for Connor Bedard to play alongside him. With the 19th pick, I have the Vegas Golden Knights selecting Trevor Conley at the Tri City Storm. I could see him dropping further than this due to the character concerns, but his skill set is unmatched. Amazing with the puck, skating's amazing, the shots amazing, but it's that discipline that he has. I mean, you saw what he did at the U18s. It hurt them, it ruined them a chance at the gold medal, and GMs look for that right away. But his skill set unmatched. You pair him with guys on Vegas like Jack Eichel and those guys. Oh my God, he's gonna be a 75, 80 point scorer at the next level, and I see it. I see it with them. With the 20th pick, I think this one's also easy. I think Sasha Bover makes a ton of sense for them for a good, maybe second line center for them. And it makes a lot of sense with that great shot. The skating's a little clunky, but he does have that great IQ that he has with the playmaking, and he's got that wicked shot. I mean, 6'2", 180, got a decent frame, but that skating does need work. But overall, he's a pretty nice overall center that is definitely going to help them out. With the 21st pick, I have the LA Kings selecting. Let me find them. EJ Emery out of the USNTDP. And this makes a lot of sense for them as maybe a middle pairing guy who skates well, great physically, great defensively, has got a great playmaking sense to him, as we saw some flashes of that in the U18s. Not incredible offensive potential, but just an all-around great defensive defenseman that a lot of teams are looking for, and definitely is going to be a real contributor to LA in the future. The 22nd pick, I have the Nashville Predators selecting. Where is he? Oh, here he is. Jet Luchenko out of the Gulf Storm. And he's just a really great, fast, great shot, just a good playmaking center who has just so many great traits. I mean, that competes amazing. The skating's amazing. Got that great shot, great, decent defensively, and a very smart player all around. Just, I think he's a really good all around player, but the size is lacking. The 5'10", 165. He's got to bulk up. He's got an amazing skill set to him, but once he bulks up and once he grows into his body, he's going to be a really good player at the next level and be a second, third line center, I can definitely see. With the 23rd pick, I have the Toronto Maple Leafs selecting Adam Jiricek. I could see them going for like a Charlie Ellick or a Henry Muse, but I think Jiricek makes a lot of sense for what they need. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of Jiricek, but I can definitely see why teams are. I mean, the skating is definitely great. The physical play is, I gotta say, it's actually pretty good. The defensive play is a little weird. He can look great at times, but sometimes he can be kind of lost in the defensive zone, and sometimes he's just nowhere to be found in the defensive zone, and that's definitely reasonable considering the fact that he's playing in the men's league in Czechia. It's going to take a longer time to develop, but with the fact that he was injured and not being able to play the rest of the year was definitely a reason that he's going to fall in the 20s, and I think that Toronto's a perfect fit for him. With the 24th pick, I have the Colorado Avalanche selecting. Oh, here he is. Igor Chernyshov. And again, a very good winger that they have been missing for the past couple of years. I mean, a very good power forward who's definitely going to add to their second and third line, who's definitely going to be a real contributor to their success in the playoffs. I mean, power forward, skates well, has a really good shot, and some decent playmaking to him. He's big, 6'2", 192, but definitely a guy that they have kind of been missing to their depth pieces. I mean, definitely going to be maybe on that third line for them, but I think he just brings a lot to the game of overall grit and skill, and that's a perfect fit for Colorado. And with the 25th pick, I have the Boston Bruins selecting Cole Beaudoin. And I think this is an interesting one for sure. I don't know how much potential there really is, but I think this is the perfect Bruins pick. I mean, he's definitely a bigger guy. I think it's 6'2", 201. Has some decent skating ability. It's not great, but definitely above average, I'd say. But overall grit and just forechecking ability, this is where this guy shines. Has one of the highest motors in the draft. Great defensively, but it's really just how much offensive potential he can really bring. To the Bruins, he's definitely going to slot out and be on that second, third line ish, but that's what the Bruins are kind of looking for. I mean, they do need a number one center, but this is definitely a good fit for them. With the 26th pick, I have the Montreal Canadiens selecting Andrew Basha out of the Medicine Hat Tigers. Another really solid pick for Montreal on the wing with Demidov and Basha. I mean, really fast player, great hands, has a pretty solid shot, I have to say. I mean, has to bulk up a little bit. I mean, 6 foot 185. Definitely, he could be. Definitely, he can put a little bit more muscle on him to get bulkier and what he needs to do. But and he doesn't handle physical pressure all that well, but he's got the amazing hands, and that skating is unreal. And I really think there's a lot to build off of with Montreal taking him with the 26th overall pick. With the 27th pick, I have the Carolina Hurricanes selecting Dean Letourneau. And I think Carolina does often draft for potential. I mean, they sometimes. I think this is no risk for them really. They're already great now, and why not just get a really interesting project in Dean Letourneau? I mean, there's just so much to build around him. He's such a big player. I'm not a huge fan of him because I think he's unproven, but there's definitely a really good potential pieces for him to be a solid player at the next level. I have no idea where this guy could slot in a couple of years because he's on stage one of the developments still in high school, but I have it's such an interesting player because he could literally turn out to anything. He could be this stud first line center, which I don't really see, but it's possible, or he could be this guy who never makes it and just never understands his size and just kind of be lacking certain parts of the game, or you can just slot in on your second line, third line maybe as a good shooting power forward type of player. Definitely an interesting player. Could literally turn out to anything, and I think that Carolina is a perfect team to take that risk. With the 28th pick, I have the Calgary Flames selecting one of my favorite players, Emil Hemming. I see him dropping quite a bit just because I just don't think there's a lot of really flashiness and like overall top end ceiling with Hemming, but he's going to be a great kind of all around do it all middle six player. I mean, got a wicked shot to him, great compete, great skating, and great defensively. I think there's so many traits with him that are pretty great, and he's a really good all around player. And kind of like a Michael Brandsegg Newgard, but I just think there's even more potential with him, and this is a very good slam dunk pick for them. With the 29th overall pick, I have the Dallas Stars selecting Tariq Periskak, and I think this is a very good pick for them as well. I mean, they often draft for potential. I mean, they're an unreal drafting team. I mean, Wyatt Johnson, Stankoven, unreal forwards. Thomas Harley, amazing. I mean, they definitely like to find the diamonds in the rough, and I think Periskak could be one of them. He's again a boomer bust player, but definitely has that really good shot to him. Has some pretty solid hands, but the wheels aren't there. The physicality isn't there. But there's definitely some offensive potential there for Dallas to take a chance on, and definitely a really solid prospect all around. I'm not a huge fan of him, but I can definitely see why GMs are. With the 30th overall pick, I have the New York Rangers selecting Charlie Elick out of the Brandon Wheat Kings. And he is a player that's quite interesting. I mean, has some decent physical traits to him, a really good defensive defenseman, but I don't think there's too much potential with him. But the New York Rangers, maybe as a third line D, maybe as maybe just a physical, maybe defensive defenseman, as with a pretty good shot to him. I think the New York Rangers are definitely gonna go for a little bit of a safer pick in Charlie Elick. I mean, just a very good kind of all-around defensive defenseman that could slot in the bottom pair for them. With the 31st pick, I have the Anaheim Ducks selecting Yegor Surin. A very great player in my opinion, all around. I mean, got one of the best motors. If personally, my player with the highest motor in the draft by far. I mean, incredible grit to him. He had like 120 penalty minutes. This guy loves to compete. I mean, got a pretty nice skill set. I mean, 6'1", 192, just so good on the off the rush. I mean, has got some pretty great hands, honestly, and just a smaller power forward who's just a rat around the net, and he's kind of a goal scorer, but has some silky skill to him, along having the highest motor. Definitely a really great player in my opinion. Definitely a project though, and definitely could slot in maybe on the second or third line, maybe just like a grinding forward. And with the last pick of the first round, I have the Philadelphia Flyers selecting Maxime Massé out of the QMJHL. And this one makes a lot of sense as well. Just an all-around really good player, similar to Emil Hemming, all-around great player, but doesn't have that skating that Hemming does, but that definitely does have that shot in the defensive play. But Flyers, this is definitely a really good guy to like. His size around like 6'1"-ish. Yeah, 6'1", 181. Definitely a more interesting player, a goal scorer, but does have some decent physical traits and could slot in on maybe third line, right wing, maybe like power play 2 type of player. And that's a perfect player at this point in the draft for Philly to snag. And that's going to conclude it for this final mock draft for the 2024 NHL draft. Really excited for the draft, which is tonight, and this video should be out soon. Peace.